Alright fellas, Naoya Inoue for the first time in 4 years just fought on US soil. After years of pundits and experts screaming that he must fight in the States, he made his triumphant return to the US against a top 10 ranked opponent in Ramon Cardenas. In a weekend which has disappointed most of us boxing fans, Inoue to many of us just seemed like an afterthought compared to the bouts before him. Yet because of these disappointing fights, he had the pressure on him to show out and save the weekend for the boxing world, and truthfully, he certainly did. He gave the fans a fantastic fight, but it wasn't perfect. Inoue dared to play with fire, and almost got burnt. So we need to break down all that just happened, as well as what to expect coming up next for Naoya the Monster Inoue. But just before all of that, my name's Cloister, and this channel is your one-stop shop for everything boxing. So make sure to subscribe and I'll always keep you in the loop. So for years now, the amount of criticism Inoue has gotten for not fighting in the States simply has been outrageous. We're talking about a 2-time undisputed champion here. But many wrote him off because of his so-called reluctance to fight in the States, ignoring the fact that he has many times before. As I've said plenty of times, why would he want to trade stadiums full of adoring fans and mega Japanese sponsorship deals for an off-night fight in the US, which it was unknown what sort of reception he would truly get? Yet because of this pressure and his promoters over at Top Rank Boxing wanting Inoue to fight in the States, he finally decided to appease these cries and return to the US. His opponent was originally thought to be Alan Picasso, but that fell through, and they went with the other Mexican fighter within the top 10 that was available, in Ramon Cardenas. Why did they go with him? Well, it's Cinco de Mayo weekend. It's an added level of security when it comes to trying to sell out this event. The Mexican fans are easily some of the best and most passionate in the sport. They know how to truly show out for their fighters. So if the boxing community overall didn't show up for Inoue, they betted on the Mexican community showing out for their fighters. Being on the road truly is nothing new for Inoue, but it was his first fight in a while that he has been on the road. A lot of people criticized this matchup, and to be honest, there was some merit to it. But this fight was really just a formality to try get the US fight out the way before heading on to bigger fish. And that bigger fish was already announced before this fight. What I never like to see is fighters looking beyond their current opponent, and although I don't think Inoue was, I didn't like that a lot of the talk fight week was about how Inoue was finally set to fight Akhmadaliev in September. In a lot of interviews, they weren't asking him about the fight, they were rather asking him about the Akhmadaliev fight in September. And he's lucky, because usually if fighters fall into that trap of looking too far ahead, that's usually a recipe for disaster. Hey, look at Ryan Garcia this weekend looking towards Haney, maybe overestimating Rolly, and hey, he ended up losing. Or say look at Wilder against Parker. It just never works. Cardenas for most of us was an unknown, but coming in fueled with honouring the legacy of his late trainer, he wasn't there just for a paycheck, he was there to win. And once the bell rang, Inoue looked like he normally does, incredibly light on his feet, flicking out the jab and analysing his opponent. But Ramon was throwing shots which looked like they had a lot of power behind it. In the second round, the world was stunned when Inoue got dropped by a vicious left hook and looked, quite honestly, pretty hurt. It was clear Cardenas had a strong plan to counter Inoue, and it was working. Yet, unfortunately for him, Inoue is a truly special fighter. He was able to realise his mistake and make the adjustments which ensured that he wouldn't get hit with that same shot for the rest of the night. Although Inoue was tame in the third, after that we saw him take control. He knew Cardenas was punching straight after he would very quickly. So Inoue then began retreating out of range just enough after throwing to draw out the counter attempt to land his own power shots. Honestly, it was a pretty beautiful adjustment. By the 7th, Inoue's barrage of shots really started to impact his opponent, with Inoue knocking him down in this 7th round. He made it to the end of the round, yet after another huge flurry of punches in the 8th, the ref waved it off. Although I thought the stoppage was a bit early, it was clear from that point on that it would have really been one-way traffic. So Inoue took home the win, came back from adversity and showed once again why he's the real deal. I think a round of applause from the boxing world should be in order for both of these fighters. After such a weekend of mediocre fights, they put on a real show for the fans. And the fans in the arena obviously really appreciated that, with chants of Inoue's name circling the arena for long after the bout had finished. And I won't wage too much in the Inoue versus Tank or Inoue's overrated sort of debate, but the one thing I have to point out is people get dropped in boxing. Inoue got dropped, but hey, he still got up off the canvas, stood right there in the pocket again, and traded with his opponent. You look at fighters like Tank, he got a bit of hair grease in his eyes, he took a knee, then he didn't make any meaningful adjustments to try sway the fight in his way, and then ended up drawing because of it. So for me, it's hard to really engage in this debate or give Inoue too much flack. For Cardenas, although this is a loss, he has announced himself on a mega stage and will have future big fights ahead. Give me him versus, say, Luis Nery. How good of a fight would that be? But Inoue has a bit more of an interesting path ahead. Now Inoue, of course, is one of the most active world champions in the sport as a whole. It's something you always have to commend him on. And after signing on as an ambassador for Riyadh season, there is a growing expectation for him to continue fighting the best. His next fight is already agreed for September, as I said before, against Akhmadaliev. A fight which I never really understood why everyone was sooking why it wasn't happening. It would have happened earlier if he managed to get through to parlays, which he didn't. He missed his chance, and I didn't like Eddie Hearn moaning that Inoue should be stripped for not fighting him. Like, have your fighter win against the best and then come crying. There is the debate that Inoue in his last few fights hasn't been fighting the best, which honestly is completely true. But that blame shouldn't really be on Inoue at all. If you look into why that's been the case, it's all the fault of challenger Sam Goodman. Just a reminder, after his Tokyo Dome fight with Nery, that bloke stormed the ring demanding to be next for Inoue or for him to give up the belts. Inoue went, alright, I'll have you in the next fight. Then Goodman went running, saying he needs a warm-up fight. And that's why the Doheny fight happened. That would not have happened if Goodman didn't go on the jog. Then the Goodman fight was finally made, but then Goodman pulled out only a couple weeks before because of a cut, resulting in Inoue fighting the bloke nicknamed Packyweather. The blame really shouldn't be on Inoue. We're talking about a bloke here who fought for a world title in only his 6th fight. He doesn't really duck any smoke. Yet all of that now doesn't really matter. Akhmadaliev is next. But even then, we're looking already beyond this. Why? Because there's a rumoured matchup for Inoue that will take place in Saudi in December. Maybe on a potential Bivol Beterbiev 3 undercard. Who could this be against? Well, my bets would be potentially Goodman, as long as Goodman gets through his next opponent. It's unfinished business, Goodman is ranked quite highly, and it should be an easy enough fight for Inoue. Past this, then we're staring down the prospect of finally maybe Nakatani versus Inoue, before Inoue would move up to featherweight. I think all of us want to see this Nakatani fight, but one which has the potential to be even more exciting I would say would be against Rafael Espinoza. He also fought tonight and almost stole the show, he was just that good. The bloke is 6'1" and fights a featherweight and has a fantastic uppercut. Dangerous and an exciting fighter to watch. This could be Inoue's first jump up to featherweight, but I reckon he would rather seek potentially a Fulton rematch as an easier step up in the division. But once we get to this point, it's all speculation. Yet it's undeniable that tonight's bout was exciting. Did it raise questions for Inoue's future? Yeah. But overall, it was easily the best fight outside of that Espinoza fight that we saw this weekend. But now, I want to hear what you guys think. What did you think of the fight? What did you think of Inoue being knocked down? And what do you think is next for him? Let me know all your thoughts in the comments down below. If you did enjoy the video, please make sure to like and subscribe, it does a ton to help the channel. Yet, thanks for watching fellas, and I'll catch you in the next one.